Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, and we are recording this time. I had a mess up last time. So, hey, welcome to the happy hour leadership 101 with Jay. And I'm so happy to be with you and happy that you tuned in right now. So, uh, welcome. You know, we've been talking about for the last couple of lessons. We've been talking about how to be a real success based upon John Maxwell's uh, 101 series and how to be a real success. And real is acronymed for relationships, equipping, attitude, and leadership. And these are four main principles that John Maxwell saw that really needed a focus on to become an overall very well rounded leader. And so we got to focus on relationships. How do we build and develop relationships? What does that look like? How do I make the connections with people? Equipping. How do I resource and equip? How do I train them? How do I encourage them? How do I resource my people? So equipping. The A, attitude. Attitude. I love what Zig Ziglar said. Attitude's not everything, but it is the main thing, right? And attitude is a very big part of your success or your failures. Even when you make mistakes, what is the attitude that you're approaching that mistake with? Maybe a disappointment, the attitude you're approaching the disappointment with. Okay, so that really makes a big difference too. And then finally, leadership itself. Now, leadership has so many things to learn and grow from. I have so many people I admire, that I look up to, that are phenomenal leaders. I have so many people that I admire and look up to also as influencers. And these people are changing the world. They're changing the world as leaders. And I'm going to talk about one of them in just a few minutes towards the end of this. I've got his book, and I'm going to share that book with you in just a moment. And it's not John Maxwell, but somebody that's definitely a part of our big John Maxwell team family. And I'm so blessed to be a part of that. But hey, listen, we're not here to talk about John Maxwell. We're not here to talk about other authors. What we're here to talk about today is leadership. And we're going to break it into the third part of what we talk about in relationships. Relationships, part of how to be a real success. So if you're on the video live right now, go ahead and pop in and ask a question. Say hi. Let me know where you're watching this from. And it'd be exciting to see who's watching and where you're watching it from. So, but let's get started. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube on a later date, okay, which this is being recorded live on YouTube right now as well, make sure to subscribe and share as well. I'd like to try to build that community up, but you can also send me a message on there as well. All right, so let's get started. Part 3 of relationships when it comes to developing leadership, the growth of relationships. The growth of relationships. How can I build trust with others? You know, relationships without trust is no relationship whatsoever. You've got to build the trust. So how do you build trust with others? When your words and your actions match, people know that they can trust you. Do your words and your actions match? Are they in alignment? Do you say what you're going to do, and do you do what you say you're going to do? Okay, your words and your actions must match for people to start to develop that level of trust in you. And so you want to build that up by being a person of character, strong character and integrity. We're going to talk a little bit about that as well as we continue on. So, okay, let's go. All right, so talking about character. Integrity is the most crucial of business and personal success. The most crucial character that you can have for business and personal success is integrity. Saying what you do or going to do, doing what you say you're going to do. Okay, and so integrity is in very important. You know, you've heard me share with this before. You know, I live by the Army values. The Army values are basically how we live our lives based upon building our character. Phenomenal thing that you can use also if you want to know, how do I build and establish my character? Well, if you follow these 7 Army core values, you'll be able to do that. And so it spells out the acronym leadership, LDRSHIP. Now, LDRSHIP means loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. And without integrity, integrity is the cornerstone of all those values of character. You compromise your integrity, you've compromised your character. Okay, so you want to do an integrity check. Am I being honest? Am I being truthful? Am I being in the dark as I am in the light? Do people see the best side of me? And am I being authentic and genuine and even vulnerable? Do I admit when my mistakes occur? Do I admit when I'm wrong? Do I stand up against those who would ask me to compromise my integrity? Keep your integrity always in check, and you'll never, ever, ever have to have it questioned. All right, so integrity is about the small things. Integrity is the foundation upon which many other qualities for success are built, such as respect, and you've heard me talk about it. John also adds dignity and trust. So without integrity, there is no respect. Without integrity, there is no dignity. There's a loss of dignity, and there is definitely no trust when integrity is compromised. And so building trust with others involves building up our character, intentionally developing our character. The cornerstone of character, like I said, is integrity. And I do truly believe my life had been changed since 1980 when I started living into the Army values, and integrity being the cornerstone of that. And so I live intentionally so that my integrity is never compromised. So make sure to give StreamYard permission for you to comment. So if you're watching on Facebook, and leave your comments down below. All right. So do you agree or disagree with? Well, let's move on from there. Okay. Integrity is an inside job. 3 truths about integrity. Number 1, integrity is not determined by our circumstances. Okay, so when our circumstances occur, life happens. Integrity is not determined by circumstances. Number 2, integrity is not based on credentials. Just because you may be in a person of authority and in a position of prestige doesn't mean that your integrity is intact. In fact, I can think of many, many people in recent history that you probably know too, that their credentials really don't match up with their integrity. It doesn't even play. So credentials are not part of the basis for integrity. Okay. And then also number 3, integrity is not to be confused with reputation. Integrity is not to be confused with reputation. A reputation is how others see us. Image is how we see ourselves. Okay. Reputation is how others see us. Our image is how we see us. The image that we project, we hope, is that which other people believe. And so we are responsible for our image, how we put it out in the world. And the reputation is what is built up around that image that is out in the world. And that's how people remember you. Okay, so, but once again, how do you want people to remember you? What do you want to be known by? And that's one of the things I love about Jeff Henderson's book. And I'll just go ahead and show you now. So I kind of gave you a teaser. Jeff Henderson is a member of the John Maxwell team, one of the faculty members now. But he's worked for Chick-fil-A. He's worked for North Point Church with Andy Stanley. He's founded a church. Now he's part of our team with the John Maxwell team, and it's phenomenal. I just love this guy. But I got his book, and it's a great book. So I am going to give a little plug for Jeff Henderson right here. Get the book, get the audio. This is the hardback. I've got the audio and the hardback. It's a great book. So, but he talks about in here of, what are you known for, and what do you want to be known for? Well, if you're a person of strong, high values and ethics and morality and morals, and you keep your integrity in check, then there will be no question about your integrity. There will be no question about your reputation, and there will be no question about your influence and your legacy, how you are remembered. And so always keep that in check. Integrity can be either your best friend. Compromise your integrity, it now becomes your worst enemy. Okay. In the end, you can bend your actions to conform to your principles, or you can bend your principles to conform to your actions. How many people do you know have changed their principles to match the actions they take? In other words, they do something that went against their principles earlier on, but now they kind of change their principles to match their actions, to give it some credibility, to give it some level of to validate the actions they took. So they change their principles. If you change your principles, you're changing your core values. Now, so you can change your actions to fit your principles, or you can change your principles to fit your actions. A person of integrity will maintain his principles throughout his actions. His actions will speak loudly of the principles he holds dear to his heart, and he lives by it. So when have you not been true to your principles? When have you not been true to your values? When were you not true to your core values? And what was the outcome? What was the result of that? When you compromise your integrity, think about that. When you say you clocked out early from work, disappeared, but you told him you clocked out at the right time, or you clocked in late and you said, no, I clocked in at the right time, or you took something from the office like an ink pen, paper clips. You always hear about that. Stealing is stealing. Okay. Whether you're stealing from a bank or you're stealing from the office, stealing is stealing. That's part of the character, that you compromise. So when's the last time you did it, and what was the result? Choices that we need to make in order to become a person of integrity. One, commit yourself. Commit yourself. Hold yourself accountable to be honest, to be reliable, to maintain a level of confidentiality. When people share something with you, are you keeping it in the utmost confidential status? Are you holding that in confidentiality? As a coach, that's the one thing that I'm obligated to. And as a man of integrity, that's something I live by. But when I'm coaching someone, unless it's something that's going to harm them or harm somebody else, everything we talk about is done in complete confidentiality. If I'm coaching a man, a husband, his wife can't come to me and say, hey, how did it go? Tell me, give me some insights. It's not going to happen. If I'm coaching an employee, the leader can't come to me and say, hey, how did it go? I need some insights. No, it's not going to happen, because there's a level of confidentiality. And if I believe that something is going on that might cause harm to that individual or someone else, then that is the only thing only reason I would compromise that. That's the only reason, to save a life. But otherwise, confidentiality is huge. You want to maintain that level of confidence. If somebody shares something with you, don't go and share it with somebody else and somebody else. If they told you that believing that they could trust you to keep it to yourself. Sometimes we have things in our lives that we feel like, I just got to tell somebody, but I don't want the world to know about it. That's when you need somebody that you can share that with, that you can trust, that you know that their integrity is intact, and they won't share that with everybody else. All right. Another choice you can do, decide ahead of time that you do not have a price. There is nothing that could sway you from your compromising your integrity. One of my favorite movies, and I led men on this study. It's a Bible study, but it's a Christian movie. It's called Courageous, the movie. It's about these 4 police officers, and it has these 4 police officers and another gentleman who was working in a warehouse, I believe it was. He got a job at a warehouse, and it talked about different things involving men as husbands, as friends, as fathers, as community leaders, and maintaining that level of integrity. Well, there was what was his name in the movie? Uh, I can't remember. He was a Hispanic guy. I'm going to say his name. Well, it doesn't matter what his name was. The guy got a job in the warehouse, and he had a family to feed. And so he had this job. He loved this job. He finally got this job after looking for a job. And so he was called into the office one day. And the manager and the supervisor called him in. I'm assuming it was the manager and supervisor. Might have been the manager and the owner. I'm not sure, or the same. But they called him in one day and said, we got this position coming up and for a manager, and we think you'd be a great person for that role. They go, oh my goodness, that's great, fantastic! I can't wait. Thank you so very much. I said, yeah, but before we do that, we need to do something. We have a shipment coming in. We have a shipment. Excuse me. 4 containers. We need you to go down there and receive the shipment. But when you log it in, we need you to put in that you only received 3. I said, well, only 3, but you said there's 4 containers coming in. Why would I only put down 3? He said, well, we have plans for the other one. He says, so if you can do that, if you're on board, or can we trust you? Are you on board? Then you've got the job. He said, well, can I think about that? Okay, yeah, go think about it. He goes home, he thinks about it, he talks to his wife. His wife is encouraging, hey, do it, essentially is what she was saying. And he could not do it. Excuse me. He goes back the next day. He says, sir, I really appreciate the opportunity, but I just can't do that. That would not be right. So thank you. Well, that was actually a test. They tested him to see if he would pass or fail and where he was at in his character, in his integrity. And he passed it with flying colors. Now, that was a test. Some people are going to try to encourage you that they're not testing you. They really want you to compromise your values and your integrity. What are you going to do? So you got to prepare yourself how you're going to handle that. You got to know that there is no price so high that you will compromise your values, your character, your integrity. You will not do that. Another way, another choice you can make to become a person of integrity is each day do what you should do before you do what you want to do. If you have responsibilities towards other people, if you have financial responsibilities with your family, if you have responsibilities at work and in your community, if you've made yourself responsible to somebody, then you need to do the things that you need to do so that then you can do the things you want to do, right? So that's another thing too. So make sure to do that. So let's see. Your character should never be compromised to the situation at hand, nor the people who would ask you to do so. We talked about that. Stay true to yourself and your integrity. Stay true to yourself and your integrity. Always be watchful, because there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to try to get you to trip up and compromise your values and your integrity. Every day we're faced with temptations and influencers that would ask us to compromise. So be watchful. Always be watchful. And going along just to get along is also a compromise of who we are. We're not being who we are. When we go along just to get along, that means sometimes that there's some things might need to be said that's not being said. You might be in the wrong environment. You might be with the wrong group of people. You might not want to ruffle the feathers. And sometimes I get it too. We want to pick our battles. So, but you don't want to compromise who you are. So going along just to get along, sometimes it's not the best thing to do, because you're compromising who you are. So what is your most important relationship? Well, I know with me, my most important relationship is first and foremost, of course, with my faith, my Heavenly Father. And then it's my wife, and then our children, our family. Family is my most important relationship. And then it goes out from there to friends. And from there, it goes out to co-workers and peers and my employer, and people I'm accountable to. Okay. These are important relationships, but they, as the level of importance, they're a little lower on the pole. I'm still accountable. I'm still responsible. They are still very important to me. But the most important relationship to me, other than my father, is my family. Succeed at home and all other relationships become much easier. A happier home life makes for a happier work life. And a happier work life makes for a happier home life. So what am I saying, leaders? What I'm saying here is that if you are creating an environment in your office that people feel on pins and needles, that there is something going on in the atmosphere at the office that is a whole lot of stinking thinking, a whole lot of stinking acting. There's just no joy. There's just no sense of purpose. There's no happiness, no fulfillment. It's a drudgery every day. You are responsible for setting up the culture in your office, the climate, the temperature. You're responsible, leaders. And did you know that what goes on at work doesn't always stay at work? And I know you know that because, hey, here's what I know. I guarantee you as a leader, you go home and you whine, moan, and complain about what's going on at work. I know you as an employee. You're going home, you're whining, moaning, groaning about what's going on at work. I know that. We do that. That's what we do. And so if that is happening, we have to ask ourselves, is there something I can do to change that? And if there is, then why haven't you done it already? Okay? But if you haven't done it already, when is now a good time to make those changes? So as leaders, do you know the temperature of your environment at the office? Because what I know is we carry that stuff home. We carry that home. And then there's trouble at home. Maybe we bring it in. And so that compounds our emotions, our sense of significance. And when our significance has been challenged in some manner, then we carry that back to work. And so it becomes a vicious cycle. So if you've got somebody in the office right now and you know that their performance has kind of changed a little bit, their countenance has changed a little bit, maybe they've got a little attitude happening, you might want to find out what's going on. And don't think immediately that is because they're a bad employee. A good company doesn't have bad employees. They hire good people. And a good organization not only hires good people, but they make sure that the people stay good, which means you got to do what you got to do to keep good people on board. Because here's what I know. The good people will up and leave. And you're going to be stuck with a bunch of bad seeds. And you're going to wonder what the heck's going on. It always comes back to you as the leader. What can I do to change the environment, change the culture? What can I do? And that's why you need a coach a lot of times. Because sometimes we can't see the picture when we're in the picture. You need somebody else outside to look at the picture and say, well, here's what's missing. Here's what's out of place. Here's something that shouldn't even be here. Okay? Here's a void over here that you need to fill. Here's how you need to fill that. Think of that. As an artist, as a painter, you look at a canvas and you know what needs to be on that canvas. So you need to create the masterpiece of your environment. So how has your relationships affected your level of success? And how has your relationships also affected the level of success for someone else? Right? When you build these relationships, positive and negative, you're helping to increase the level of success for you and for others. Success at home can equate to success at work and vice versa. And I like to say this. If things are well at home, it'll show up at work. If things are bad at home, that'll show up at work also. Now we're talking about at home. Now, If things are bad at work, it may show up at home, most likely. And if things are good at work, it too may show up at home. So you see, both of them have to be, there has to be a balance between the two. There has to be some yin and yang where work and family life, work and home can meld together and come into an alignment and to fit together. Happy workplace, happy home place. Happy home place, happy workplace. What do we need to do to make that happen? Now, we are all personally responsible for that as well. We got to find our joy. We got to find what makes us happy, and we got to try to accentuate on that. We got to bring that in to both work and home. But as leaders, you can be a big part of that, a huge influence on that. How can I make my workplace a lot more fulfilling for my team members? Are they happy? Are they happy in the positions they hold? Or do they need to be reassigned, or they need to be repositioned? Do I have the right people in the right positions and the wrong people in the wrong positions? There's a lot of things you can do. Are they resourced? Do they feel valued? Do they feel valued? I love what John Maxwell says. People, everything that you and I do as leaders in business or in the community is about people. Everything we do, we're all about people. You're about people. I'm about people. We might as well get really good at it then, if we're always going to be around people. So that's why it's important to build your relationship skills. And the people we serve are constantly asking 3 questions of us and our organization. Now, I've heard John Maxwell say this. I'm also reading this from Jeff Henderson's book. He's also stating this as well. Actually, this is from John Maxwell in Jeff's book. But John said in this book, said, do you like me? These are the 3 things that people want to know. Do you like me? Leaders, do you like your people? Can you help me? And the final one is, can I trust you? We're talking about trust. Can I trust you? If you can show that you care about people, that you truly genuinely like them, if you can help them to succeed, help them over their obstacles and challenges, but help them succeed. And if you have earned the level of trust from them, can they trust you? You're on your way to build a relationship with your team. Okay. Steps to building a strong family. So we're talking about the most important relationships right now is family. So building strong families, what does that look like? Well, some of the things that John has down here is express appreciation for each other. Now, my wife and I, we are always thankful for each other, and we're always thanking each other, and we're just so grateful for all that God has gifted us with, and to include each other. So we're always very grateful. So in the family, are you showing appreciation? Now, when I'm talking about how to build a strong family here, I also want you to think, how do I build my work family? How do I build a strong work family? Everything interconnects. Everything interconnects. How can I build a strong family? How can I build a strong work family? Home family, work family. So expressing appreciation for each other. Are you expressing your appreciation for your team members? Okay. The next thing is structure your lives to spend time together. Now, for family, structure your life so that you can spend time. Sometimes that requires putting it on the schedule, putting it on the calendar, even in this day and age where we're all rushed. Be intentional about it. I know my wife and I, we're excited that this is our long weekend together. So we're going down to spend some time with some grandkids. And she's going to a women's conference with the girls tomorrow night. Excited about that. This is scheduled. This is intentional. So that's what we're doing. Now, structuring your lives to spend time together in the workplace, okay, with your team members. Are you getting out of your office and walking slowly through the crowd? Are you spending some one-on-one time? Are you doing effective peer, performance reviews of your team members? And I don't mean at the end of the year do one. I mean, you got to be doing this constantly. As a leader, that's the one thing I've always, when I see something, I got to say something. When I see them doing great, I'm going to let them know they're doing fantastic. If I see that they're doing something that needs some improvement, I'm going to let them know they need to do some improvements there. You don't wait till the end of the year and say, back in January, you did this, this, and this. You can't do that. That's setting them up for failure, and it sets you up to look like I'll just say it, like a moronic leader. Don't be a moron. Don't be a moron. Be a leader. Okay? Spend time with the people. Get to know your people. Ask them questions about their home life, about their family, about their goals. And that's another talk I'm going to be doing in the future on how to do an effective counseling with your team members, and the different levels of counseling as well. That's so huge and important. Okay, another thing is deal with crisis in a positive way. Don't panic. Stop, breathe. There's a way to deal with crisis. Matter of fact, one of the things that John Maxwell has put out that I can bring to you is how to deal with crisis, especially in times like these. So how does an organization deal with crisis? How does the family deal with crisis? We prepare ourselves for those moments. And so that's another thing I'll be speaking and teaching on future videos and future lives. Okay, so dealing with crisis in a positive way. As a leader, it's okay to let them know you're scared, that you're uncertain. But you also need to be the person to step up and say, but you know what? We're going to figure this out together. They need to see that hope. Everybody needs hope. And you, the leader, you're the hope dealer. That's what leaders do. We offer hope. We show hope. Even when we're doubtful, we still give hope. Because it's amazing what people can do when they have an ounce of hope over a pound of fear. You can do far greater things with an ounce of hope over a pound of fear any day. And you got to be the one to deal that ounce. Okay? All right. Communicate continually, constantly, consistently. Always be communicating. Part of communication is just asking questions. Ask questions. Part of communicating is showing compliments. Praise people. Praise your wife. Praise your children. Praise your employees, your team members. Another one is share the same values. Now, this is something that at home, especially in marriage, you want to share the same values. I mean, you can't have two couples that don't share the same values. The marriage just isn't going to work. There's got to be some common ground there when it comes to the values. I mean, it's like if I was a diehard Republican and she was a diehard Democrat, we probably wouldn't be sharing the same values. All right, it's probably a little bit of chaotic. If she was an atheist or she was a Christian and I was an atheist, right? Not the same values. Okay, so you want to make sure to share the same values in your marriage. Sometimes even to have a conversation about it. One thing I love about Sundays, I look forward to Sundays every week because that's the day that my wife and we spend amazing time having conversations, talking about things, talking about life, talking about family, talking about faith, talking about everything. And we just go through and just have these amazing conversations. And we learn more about each other by doing that. So we have that time set as well. Now, in the workplace should have values already listed. This organization has a set of values. This is what we believe in. This is how we live. This is how we operate. Okay. And so you want people on your team that also share the same values as you. Okay. And then finally, build your marriage. How to build a strong family, how to build a strong home family. A husband and wife who has a strong relationship makes it so much better for their children. Their children are the great beneficiaries of good marriages. Now, this is also the case too. Children are also the beneficiaries of a bad marriage. You know what I'm saying? So if there's a bad marriage, the children pay. If there's a good marriage, the children reap rewards. Okay? So that's being said at home. So what are we doing about that? Now, there's some things that we can do. We can talk about on relationships in marriages, which is what we can talk about in the future. Katrina has an amazing program called the Marriage Fitness Training Program that she can help you with in that as well. So that is definitely for married couples, whether you are married now, been married forever, or you're thinking about getting married. So the two of you can come in and say, hey, We want to do this right before we get started. She'll help you with that. Marriage fitness training. She's got that. Now, building your marriage in the workplace. Build your marriage in the workplace. You're connected with people. You're seeing each other probably more than your husband and wife. You're seeing your spouse. You're seeing these people. How do you build that relationship? How do you build that relationship? There's ways of doing that in such a way that is like a marriage. You're dedicated. You're committed to each other. You want to share the same values. You want to see each other succeed. You want them to excel. You want them to excel and succeed. Okay? So you want to build up that relationship. How much time have you spent with your family, say, in the last 3 months? How much time do you want to spend with them? You know, how much time do they want to spend with you? Sometimes that's the question. So those are things to do. So what can you do to narrow the gap between how much you are spending and how much you want to spend with your family? Now, how much do you want to spend with your team members? How much time have you spent with them? How much time do you need to spend with them? I've talked to leaders where they think that spending more time with their team members is a waste of their time. If you don't invest time in your team members, then you're going to lose some good people. And don't be surprised when what you get back from that is mediocre performance, mediocre results. They're doing the job just enough not to get fired, just to stay in employed. That's it. You got to build the relationships with them. So get out there and connect with them and learn more about them. Okay. How can you serve and lead people at the same time? Well, you need to love the people more than you love the position. You need to love your people more than you love the position. People must matter more than the position you hold. Now, here's what I know. The position you hold would only be possible with the people you lead. If you didn't have people to lead, how would you have a position to lead? You have to have people. You've got to get in such a position where you can get in that spot. But you've got to maintain that position, you want to add value to your team. You want to invest in your team members. So people must mean more to you than your position. And quite honestly, that's not just rhetoric. You've got to care about your people more than the position. If there was a chance for a promotion into a position, but you have to do some things against your people that you don't really care, that you really don't feel comfortable doing. You've got to go to make this position. You've got to have a quota of X amount of disciplinary actions, warning letters. You've got to have if your company wants you to, in order for you to elevate, you got to de-elevate others. Then that's not a position worth holding, because that's going to compromise your character. It's going to compromise your being. You don't want that. Servanthood is not about position or skill. It's about attitude. Now, I always say that leadership is servanthood, period. If you're a leader, you're serving. You're not being served. You're serving. That's what leadership is. A leader serves their people. Jesus Christ did not come here to be served, but to serve, right? Greatest leader of all time. He didn't come here to serve. To be served. He came to serve. And he encouraged his disciples to do the same thing. Don't seek to be served, but serve. Matter of fact, I would say it like this. Don't seek to be served, but seek those to serve. Okay? Seek those to serve. And so that's what true leadership is. So when you see the term servant leader, it's actually just a repetition. It's redundant. It shouldn't be there. A leader is a servant. All right. Putting others ahead of your own agenda, that makes a good leader. Possess confidence to serve. The confidence to serve. Initiate service to others. Be the first one to step forward and serve others. Don't wait to be served, but serve. You're not position conscious. You're more people conscious. You're focused more on the people than you are on the position. and you do it out of love. There's a long list of things I've um, I've written a while back, and one of the things is, I talk about leaders do, right. It's kind of like you remember, some of you may remember, it used to be a plaques and mugs and T-shirts and stuff said happiness is, and you filled in the blank. Well, I had one, leadership is. Okay, leadership is, leaders blank, leaders blank. What do leaders do? Leaders lead, leaders live, leaders love, leaders learn, leaders lean into their people. A lot of things there. So leaders love. You must love your people if you want to get the best from your people. Okay. So where is your greatest desire to serve? Where's your greatest desire to influence and to impact and to serve? Where is that? Where is that? Is it a charitable organization? Is it in the organization you work at now? Is it a governmental organization? Is it a community leadership position? Is it in the church? Where is it you want to serve? That you have this great desire to serve? Where is it? Now I'll tell you what mine is, and I wrote this down. My greatest desire to serve is to corporate leadership, to help organizational leaders lead and develop leaders. That's what I did in the military. It's what I love doing out here. Helping leaders understand what leadership truly is, helping them to implement that into their day-to-day activities at work and at home, and then how do they influence and inspire other people to develop as leaders. That's huge. So that's one of my greatest desires. Also, helping men with my men's program, the Man Mastery Club and Academy, to lead themselves, their personal lives, as well as developing leadership abilities in their community, at home, and at work, and in any environment they're in. So those are my greatest desires to serve. That's where I want to serve. Where do you want to serve? What's your greatest desire? What environment do you want to serve? The most important thing, Teddy Roosevelt said this: the most important single ingredient to the formula of success is knowing how to get along with people. Now, earlier you heard me say, you don't want to just go along to get along, but you do want to be able to understand people, and how do I get along with this person? How do I do that? It's developing relationships. That's when you learn to understand different personality and communication styles. You identify and recognize yours, you identify and recognize those of others, and then you look at, how do I connect with that person? Well, that means sometimes you've got to alter the way that you connect and communicate. That means, if you're a straightforward kind of person and you're talking to a person who loves to talk about their family, ask them questions about their family. And this is where the DISC model comes in too. So if you know what your DISC profile is, then you can identify what others are. Then you can determine, how do I connect with them, which I've got a huge program on that as well. And I've even got a little cheat sheet that helps leaders be able to recognize theirs and others, and how do I connect and communicate with this person. So Teddy Roosevelt said, the most important single ingredient to the formula of success is knowing how to get along with people. And then finally, there's a relationship inventory. So I'm not going to go through those. There's about 10 of them. I may post all 10 of them up on this feed in the YouTube channel. But I'll just give you 2 or 3 of them. One is, and you would rate yourself as a 1, as in always, or 5 and never. So 1 through 5, 5 being never, 1 is always. Do you love and accept yourself? Do you love and accept yourself? 1 is always, 5 is never. Now, this is one that some people have a hard time with, loving themselves. And this is what I know. It's very hard to truly, authentically, genuinely love others if you don't have love in your heart for yourself. You may admire, you may have empathy, you may want to, but you've got to love yourself. So do you love and accept yourself? Another one would be, do you focus on the interests of other people? Do you focus on their interests? Do you do that always? Sometimes? Never? When you're asking and connecting with them, do you focus on their interests? And here's one too. Do you follow the golden rule? Now, the golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? If you want respect, you must give respect. Don't expect and demand respect before giving it, right? So do you do unto others as you would have them do unto you? Always, sometimes, never. One of those. The other thing is too, I always, it's a platinum rule. Many of you may be familiar with that. Maybe you're not. And what is the platinum rule? The platinum rule is doing unto others as they would have you to do unto them. It's kind of like if the golden rule, say at Christmas time, the golden rule would be do unto others as I would have them do for me. Well, if I wanted a chainsaw, I'll get my wife a chainsaw, and then maybe she'll get me a chainsaw. No, this is where you really want to implement the platinum rule. At Christmas time, I may want a chainsaw, but it's not about me. I need to focus on her. What does she want? What is her needs? What is her desires? And I need to feel that. That is the platinum rule. Do unto others as they would have you to do unto them. Right? Now, I know with my wife, the big thing for her is family time. So if I got her tickets to go do something with the kids, or I say, hey, why don't you go take a trip, go see the girls and the grandbabies, why don't you take some time to do that? I'll pay for everything. That's giving it to her. If I got her a mandolin, she's learned to play the mandolin. If I bought her a brand new mandolin, that's feeding into her. That's the platinum rule. So do you follow the golden rule? Was there? I want to ask you this. Do you follow the platinum rule? That's huge. And then finally, do you try to improve your relationship skills? This is something that is a constant. You've got to always be improving. I've always believed that there's no such thing as perfect. There's no perfect. There's no place called perfect. You will never reach a destination called perfect. But you can always drive on the road to perfection. You can drive the road to perfection. Perfection is a process. I'm always perfecting myself. I'm always building and developing my skills as building relationships, building my ability to communicate, my ability to connect. I'm always learning. I'm always growing. I'm always implementing. I'm always practicing, always doing that so I can become a better connector for people. Because the more I can connect with someone, the more I'm able to help them succeed. Right? So do you try to improve on your relationship skills? And it is a skill, which means it's learned. You can learn the skills of building relationships. So there we go. There we have it. So that ends the part when we come in relationships, when we talk about how to be a real success. Real success. Okay? REAL. Post your questions, post your comments, post your thoughts, post your experience, post your stories. Post them all in the comments down below. Reach out to me. If you're on Facebook, you're watching this, you can connect with me there. If you aren't connected with me on social media, send me a friend request. I'll be happy to connect with you. Send me a private message. But also on the YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel, the Happy Hour Leadership 101. Go there, find it, and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, definitely please do subscribe and send me a comment or what you think about the lessons that I'm bringing to you. Now, I can't wait. Now, right now I'm going through some of John's material. I can't wait to bring you some of my stuff, and that's coming. I have a lot of stuff that from my personal experience, from my personal archives that I have written and I have learned and I've grown from, that I'm going to be sharing with you as well in the future. Now, here's a cool thing. All of you, whether you're watching on social media, you're watching us on YouTube, these these are lessons. These are things that's going to last about anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour, these lessons each week. But I'm also going to be including some leadership tips, Leadership 101 tips, which means they're just going to be little quick snippets, maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 2 minutes of leadership lessons that you can take with you and grow. Now, in the YouTube channel, you'll see if there says playlist. In the playlist, there will be tips. And then the tips you'll be able to go through, and they'll be all titled. So yeah, definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. It'll be growing. I've got 3 videos. This will be number 4 in that, and we will continue to grow. So that's all I got for you tonight, my friends. Have a fantastic week. Have a fantastic weekend, whatever the time of the year, month, day that you're watching this, okay? Just have a fantastic day and week, and just get out there and make a difference. Leaders lead. And I'm happy and excited, and it's my purpose in life to help you develop into the kind of leaders that you're going to leave one heck of a legacy. Okay, so let's connect. You can reach me at j@golfimpact.com or shoot me a message here as well. So email me or shoot me a message. All right, God bless you. We'll see you next week on another Happy Hour Leadership 101. Bye-bye.